Hello, this is Neil with Lane Firearms. I'm here today with a Colt Single Action Army. This is the gun that won the West, the Peacemaker. Now, this gun was made famous by a lot of old West notables. Guys like Sheriff Pat Garrett carried one of these at one time or another. John Wesley Hardin, Buffalo Bill Cody, Wild Bill Hickok had one at one time. Billy the Kid, the Earps, the Daltons, the Youngers carried the Colt Single Action Army. It was carried by Sam Bass, Judge Roy Bean. Also carried by Teddy Roosevelt and famously carried by General George Patton, who took one almost everywhere he went. Now, Sam Colt had actually been dead for 10 years when this revolver was introduced. A team of Colt engineers led by William Mason worked with existing revolvers and took the best features of all the existing revolvers that they were manufacturing and kind of combined them into the Colt Single Action Army. It was introduced as the Single Action Army in 1873. Now, the Single Action Army has been manufactured in 30 different calibers. It has been made in barrel lengths from as short as 2 inches to as long as 16 inches, so you find these in many different configurations. This is the one they call the Smokeless powder frame. In 1892, Colt changed the takedown on this revolver. It was formerly a screw that you had to pull out of the front of the frame. In 1892, they went to this latch. You push that through. That pin slides out and you can remove the cylinder. That's called the Smokeless powder frame. It was done in 1892. Colt actually didn't offer a smokeless powder guarantee on the revolvers until 1900. The initial 1873 models had oiled rubber grips on them. In 1882, Colt went to these hard rubber grips, and these are actually the later ones. The first ones had an eagle with a shield on them as well as the rampant Colt, but these were the standard common grips on the gun for most of its production, these hard rubber grips. These grips are actually in really good condition, which always helps the value. This hard rubber is easily chipped, cracked, split if it's dropped, if it gets hit. You can see this grip here is in really good condition. And the grip is still really good condition on this side. The checkering is slightly worn on both grips, but it's still really strong. The Colt is really strong. There's no chips in the grips. Another place you look is to see if there's chips in the bottom of the grip, and you can see that the grips are really clean on the bottom. This grip does have a little hairline crack in it right there. That's going to hurt it a little bit, but overall the grips are in good condition, so the value is going to remain good. It's really easy to look up the serial numbers on Colt firearms and find out when they were made. This particular gun was made in 1900. First generation guns were made from 1873 all up until 1941. Those are the first generation Colt Single Action Armies. They stopped production and then picked up again later after the war. But this is a first generation gun manufactured in 1900. It's in .45 Colt, which is one of the most desirable calibers. It's a 4 3/4 inch barrel, which is also a very desirable configuration for this gun. Early on, when I was first studying firearms history and getting into firearms, I was really intrigued by the Smith & Wesson Model 3 revolvers, and I liked them more than the Colt Single Action Armies. Once I'd had the opportunity to own and shoot both of them side by side, I realized why the Single Action Army was so popular, because they're an absolute dream to shoot. I really enjoy shooting these more than I do the Smith & Wessons, although I do love the Smith & Wesson revolvers. If you have the opportunity to get a first generation Single Action Army Colt, they're always going to hold their value. I went into a collection recently where a gentleman had over 40 Single Action Armies. They were mismatched. You had different frames with different grip frames, mismatched serial numbers. He even had one that had a .45 caliber barrel on a 44 cylinder frame. All of those guns were still worth some money because it's all original first generation Colt. Somebody's always going to be willing to pay for those. This one's going to be up for sale very soon, and if you follow us on YouTube and check below in the notes, we'll post what this gun actually sells for. This one has got good value, even though it has basically no original finish left. The grips are really strong on here. It's a .45 Colt and 4 3/4 inch barrel. That's one of the most desirable configurations. The action's good. The bore on this is very good. It's not a complete sewer pipe. It's actually got some good strong rifling in it. All of those are going to contribute to helping out the value of this gun. Anyway, this is Neil with Lane Firearms. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button on your way out.